Welcome to Roots and Resilience. I'm Dr. Tejal.
And I'm Dr. Nehal. We have had some incredible conversations with inspiring individuals that we feel compelled to share with you all.
Listen with an open mind and an open heart. You never know, you might just pick up a pearl that might spark something in you.
Enjoy.
Welcome back to another episode of Roots and Resilience. We are delighted today to be joined by Dr. Sonya Reddy. She is a founder of FLO Academy, an airway focused dentist, a leadership coach, a med spa strategist. She is up to lots of exciting things, and I can't wait to dive into this conversation. We're going to go straight in, and I want you to tell us, Sonya, start at the beginning of your journey. Tell us about that.
Um, I pivot, like I had two pivots in my life, and I'll start with my night at Starbucks. I remember this is like, I'm sure we all have those moments, where your life has changed. So my um, life changed, I believe, at Starbucks. It was late at night, 7:30, and I was studying with piles of books. I was getting ready to, preparing to take my dental entrance exams. And I just started to think that time, like, why am I doing this, right? I had already had successful career in Morgan Stanley, the financial firm, and externally, it looked really successful. Internally, I was unfulfilled. And the reason being, I come from a healthcare family, the numbers, crunching numbers, I was in M&A. I was really fortunate to be in that space, that early on. But after a couple of years, it just didn't fill my bucket. I wasn't happy. I felt like I was there where I wanted to be. I wasn't happy. So I was studying, like working morning 9 to 6, and then working in the evening at Starbucks. And I couldn't wait to take my test and like get out of that field. So I guess the journey towards dentistry and healthcare started there. My passion for wellness and leadership, all that stuff, I thought would be the right point. I didn't know if I could really be there or like get to that point of like getting in admission, because I only applied for NYU because I was in New York City and I didn't want to go anywhere else. So, I got lucky and got in, and we'll dive in after that. What happened?
What
That's
I want.
amazing. Oh my, like this is awesome. And you can literally see Tejal and I both jumping in to ask a question. And this happens literally on every single episode just because we get so excited by the guests that we have on. So you were actually in M&A at Morgan Stanley and then did a career switch to dentistry. That is nuts.
Yes. Morgan
Okay,
Stanley, Accenture, AIG, they were all my clients.
right. So tell us right at the beginning. So you grew up in a family of people in healthcare.
Healthcare. My dad's a physician. My brother's a prosthodontist. My uncle is a surgeon, so I have heavy healthcare, background. But I think I was one of those, like, I wanted to question myself, like, is this what I wanted? Just
Mm.
because family is there, I was always like interested in it, but I wasn't sure. And I think when I moved to Manhattan as a young child, and I kept, moving back and forth between, I lived in Algeria, UK, India, and New York City. But I think at that age, New York City captivated me. The buildings and just getting a job in Manhattan was a dream come true because I got to live there.
So was you were you moving around because of your dad's work?
Yes.
Wow. And what was that like growing up? Like, do you just kind of you don't have a choice, so you get on with it. But like, do you feel like it was like, oh, we have to move again, or you kind of just it didn't it just sort
I
of just
didn't think
happened and you got
I
on with
didn't
it?
have that awareness. I didn't really have that awareness of like, do we have to do this? I didn't think I had a choice,
Yeah.
right? Like your
Mm.
parents are moving, kind of like they set the stage that whatever dad's job is, and he's a physician. So he was hired by the government of Algiers at that time.
Mm.
So, I didn't really have an idea that it's actually a bad thing or a good thing because I was very friendly, super social as a child. So I was like, I'll make friends. So until much later on, like when people ask me, oh my God, it must be so hard moving around. Now I think about it, I'm like, oh, okay, possibly. But I didn't really
Yeah.
think anything of it.
Do you,
I thought it was,
That's really cool. That's amazing. So in US, right? So you don't do dentistry straight away, correct? You have to do something before going into dentistry. So dentistry's a much more of a postgraduate course in the US. Take
right.
us through how
Yeah.
it works there.
It's you do 4 years of graduate, undergrad, and then you apply, either you work somewhere for a little bit or you work, you go directly. So it's, in India and UK, it's I think right after you're 12 that you go in, right? So here it's like you have a 4-year pre-med, and then you take your, test, and then you go back into, dental field. So yeah, it's tedious, and you actually make a choice. I actually like that because you deliberately make a choice if this is for you, and you're not that young when you make that choice. So it's something that you chose when you're 20 something versus when you're 18 something.
well, actually, when you're thinking about it in the UK, I remember thinking about it around the age of 14, 15 already. And like you look back and that's still like it's so young to be even considering like
Yes,
especially a vocational career that, you're going to be essentially married to for like 40 years. Like it's these
absolutely.
big decisions, and actually looking back, I think makes much more sense to do it the way you've said, because you're making a much more informed decision. I know it's more long-winded, it's more of an investment, but actually you're more
Right.
likely to do it for the right reasons, I feel. That
Yes, 100%.
And also,
100%.
I suppose the way you
14,
approach the
15,
course.
how do you make a commitment to it's a big commitment. Like professional course is not, something, what if you don't like it? And I know friends that don't like it afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's really common. And actually, when I was in first year of dental school, in our first year, a big percentage of that year failed, not because they weren't capable, it's because they really struggled to motivate themselves. I think not. I mean, this is very generic, but for the most part, to kind of keep up with the workload and stuff. And I guess because sometimes, maybe I will never know for sure, but I suspect. Perhaps, maybe the heart just wasn't in it.
Hmm.
And that makes it really hard to then find the motivation to put in the hours, put in the work and stuff. And
And actually, you're
Right.
right. Sometimes it's because the parents are dentists, they might have practices or surgery, so automatically it's not an expectation, but you're exposed to that field anyway, and you kind of go with it without really thinking twice, is this genuinely what I want? And I suppose that probably mirrors your situation in the sense that you had so many people in healthcare around you that
Yes.
actually then you realize much later on that actually no, yes, this is for me. So what did you do in those your 4 years, the pre-med
like
Um,
undergrad.
undergrad, yeah?
My undergrad was in all biology and chemistry because I was prepping up for, getting to dental school, doing physician or medical. So yeah, very much in line with medical. And I think I just took a pivot and I said, you know what, let me try financial world. And I was a recruiter at my friend's company right after I graduated. And he exposed me to, like, we were recruiting people to go to, Morgan Stanley as consultants. And as I was recruiting, I got exposure to that. And one of a person that was like hiring in the hiring capacity said, hey, we have a boot camp for someone, someone brand new, and if they're interested in it. And I applied and I got in. So that's why I say I'm lucky. I was right time, right place.
Do you
Wow.
do you think do you believe in luck, or do you actually feel like preparation plus opportunity equals luck?
I think preparation definitely, and I think seizing the luck, right? Like if you
Yes.
get an opportunity, I know so many people have set mindset. Like a lot of people in my class, they were like, "Why are you doing this? This is like a waste of your time." You want this, you're gonna waste years and whatnot. And I'm like, I want to try this out. Like I want to make sure, this is for me or not. And the only way I'm gonna know is to try this out. And I was getting paid for it. So
What did
Wow, that's amazing.
what
And
did
what
you
was the
learn? Sorry, Nihal, I've got a burning question, but what did you learn?
literally my turn next?
Promise, promise. So what did you
it's
learn in
so
those
much.
years?
I think just
that
how
actually transferred, sorry, that you took
okay.
into healthcare later, if that makes sense.
Okay. I learned that being good at financially, like understanding your spreadsheets to like the final number really matters, right? Like we can all go into dentistry and like run a business. I opened my practice 2 years out, right? So how do you know anything about numbers? Like they don't teach you any financial knowledge in NYU in dental schools. And the only class I had was a business class in the final year, like which is not even mandatory. So we skipped it so we can go do our clinical requirements. So I think that that background, so I knew about stocks and I knew how to preserve money. I knew what the interest rate was, what a P&L is, because we did mergers. Like, so these are like multi-million-dollar mergers. So I actually was able to see the spreadsheet coming in and what the overhead meant. So just so much. I would recommend this to anyone that's getting into healthcare or not. Like, just I think we have to have a basic financial background.
Yes, absolutely. And do you know, especially as women, I feel like sometimes we shy away from knowing finances or being aware of our finances, but it's so
Yeah.
important. And it's the same
Yeah.
here, by the way, like no kind of business module, no module about, pricing or even the business side of running a practice or nothing like that. So you have to go out and find out yourself or learn through your mistakes or speak to people and learn that way. So how long were you in this role for?
I did, did you ask me how many years I did this?
Yeah, yeah.
This was almost 4 years, 3.5 years, 3.5 to 4 years. The first year was like learning so much, and you basically don't know anything. So just sitting in meetings and being completely intimidated by everyone else that's talking the jargon and understanding the corporate dynamics of what's expected of me and how to write emails to these senior people, how to, and admiring people that are like real leaders. And then you see a lot of leaders that are not very good, like your managers. So they say you learn a lot from a bad manager than a good manager. So the first year, I feel like I learned a lot because my boss was really strict on me and didn't really give a lot of coaching or guidance. He just threw me and expected me to just shine. It was horrific. Like I think most people must have like quit by 6 weeks or 8 weeks because the embarrassment. You don't really know what you're doing right and how to respond to those kind of emails. It was horrific, but quickly I learned, asking people for help. That's also really important. It's really hard for us dentists, right? Like asking for help because
Yeah.
we rather figure it all out.
So two questions for you. Number one, what does a good
Yeah.
leader look like to you? And number two, what made you want to hang in there, even though it just felt horrific?
Um, I knew, so I think the whole education background where you come from, I think it's like it's in your character to quit or not. And I just never thought it was just okay to just quit and leave. I loved everything else around it. It's just, I was getting, you know, embarrassed by my mistakes. So I knew there was a lot to learn. So quitting was not like if I knew I wasn't learning anything and it was like a completely toxic environment, I would. But it was just rigorous. And I knew everything he was asking me was a right, but like probably an year from that time versus like 6 weeks in. So I knew like this environment was going to teach me so much that I would never learn in real life. So, you know.
Amazing. And what does
You
a
know, it's
good
hard,
leader?
but if you hang around, like I felt like I was learning so much.
Yeah, awesome. And what does a good leader look like to you? Because you mentioned you learned a lot from bad managers.
Yes, I think a good leader is not to like delegate and like expect them to do it. Like good leader would hold hand and kind of prepare you for it and lead with you versus I think they talk a lot about delegation. So I've seen some people just tell you what to do and just kind of like step back. But I think it's important that you understand where they're not able to perform. It could be sometimes the anxiety, or sometimes they're not aware of some of the parts of it, right? So good leader to me, it's like go over the whole process with you and works with you versus just like, oh, you're separate, I'm separate, and then start blaming afterwards. So I
Mm.
think there's just the bad leaders, I'll tell you, like I think I had were, blaming, victimizing. And if you don't do that and you kind of enrich their lives along with yours, and I've had that, opportunity to work with some of those people. So
So, how old were you when you were in Starbucks and pivoting?
you won't believe, I think 24, 24, 25.
Okay, fine. And then tell us about your dental school experience. Or do you have any
Um,
memories that you could share from that time?
I would say, I just remember like sitting in the lab, like performing our lab work, right? And I was hoping like we don't have to do this lab work after the patient leaves. I didn't enjoy the lab work after. I think dental school prepares you to constantly keep learning, because we had a test every Friday, I believe, and it bends your mind in so many ways. It kind of later helps you how to be an entrepreneur. So nothing shocks you really. You're like, okay, you got this. And I think the rigorousness of the dental school, asking for help. I remember like making this prep, a crown prep, and showing it to my doctor over there, and them telling me, you know what, don't worry about it. You're pretty. You just find a good husband, and then you don't have to worry about working for the rest of your life. And they were laughing at each other, like they thought it was so funny. So I remember that day that it made me more determined than before. That okay, I need to work harder. And I just never grew up with that concept of like marrying someone rich and don't have to work. I mean, I'm working for me. I'm creating my own legacies. It has nothing to do with who you marry or who your dad is.
Very true. Absolutely. And so that was the 4 years that you did in NYU. And then post-graduation, how does it work? Like, is there a pathway for training out into the real world, or are you go straight into practice?
There's a chance to do residency in US. At that time, it was not mandatory when I graduated. So I had, you take board exams, so that's a real life experience, and then you work at these kind of dental mills, for lack of a better word, where you churn out like 12 patients at a time in a day, at a speed. And, you just get good at like doing that stuff over and over again. You just optimize your time and quality. Um, but there's chance of like, if you want to go into post graduation, there's going to be residency programs and all that stuff. But I was moving to California right after. So I just transitioned into a place where it was extremely busy and we had to churn out patients. Looking back at it, there's a lot of good things in it, but also don't stay in that mill for too long because you just lose the passion for what you
Mm,
started.
That's really true. I think you have to remember why you do the profession and really check your environment. That is this working for me? Like, is this aligned with me? Is this
Yes.
making me happy? Is this keeping my cup full? So were you at
How
that?
is it in UK, the transition
So
out
in the
of dental school?
UK, there's a year, like a training year, after you finish your 5-year degree, which is an undergrad for most people, but some people do dentistry as a postgrad. And that training year is compulsory if you want to work in the National Health Service. You could
Okay.
technically finish your degree and go straight into private practice, but like most people will do that training year to find their feet in the real
like
world.
99% of people
Yeah, yeah,
will do that year because you want to have the option of working in the health service, but equally you just don't have enough experience. So really, private practices, no one's really going to hire you just straight fresh out, fresh out of dental school.
Uni. Yeah.
So I can think of maybe one or two people who may have done that, but otherwise, pretty much everyone does it. And after that year, you're free to kind of go into
Do
practice, stay into
anything.
practice. You can go into training. Like I think residency, it means you're like training to become like is it specialize? Like into particular. I'm just trying to translate the
Yeah. I
terminology.
think a
So,
residency is like a training program, basically. Like
um,
Mm.
I suppose.
but yeah, like specializing on stuff like that. So it's yes, I think a lot of people sometimes are really clear about what they want to do and they kind of there's a pathway and you just follow that pathway to get to where you want to go. But I think after that year, suddenly like that structure that maybe completely like just disappears and you're kind of like, well, I can do anything. And if you're not sure, it can be really kind of overwhelming because there's so many options. Like, what do I do? What do I want to do? And so I think yeah, I think then what happens is most people tend to, I think, just see, okay, well, that person's doing this course. That looks good. Let me do that. Or let me, oh, that looks good. Everyone seems to be talking about Invisalign. Let me do a bit of Invisalign. Like you kind of just end up tagging along, seeing, with going with the herd a little bit without really knowing what you like, what you want, and all of those things. And I think with experience, that's when you really understand what it is you like and what it is that ticks you, like keeps, lights you up within the profession. So you moved to,
Would it help to have mentorship early on, would you think, like to get these, to have someone to talk to have that kind of input about like which direction to go? I felt a little confused myself too. And I
I
felt
think,
like I did. I,
yeah, I think it's important to talk to people. Just go to conferences, like, go out there, get out there and talk to people just so that you can actually just appreciate, what's out there. Because sometimes you think, that you have option A, B, C, D, but there might be E, F, G that you have no idea even existed. So just going out and talking to people.
right.
But I actually think at that early stage, you just need a good foundation. So you actually, there's nothing that beats just maybe not in a bad way, but churning out the work, like getting your hands like, doing the actual dentistry, really
Doing the work.
understanding the
Yeah.
dentistry and just kind of embedding all that knowledge, bringing it together. So I usually, my perspective, and I know this is personal to me, but I really say for at least for the first 3 to 4 years, just focus on getting a good foundation and then build on that. Um, and because until you do that, you don't really understand what it is you like. You can be mesmerized by all the stuff you see on social media, being like, yeah, I want to do that, or I want to do the smile makers. Oh, great. But understand, like, health and gums and foundation and occlusion and really, and the only way to do that is experience. And I feel I'm a big sort
And
of
also,
advocate.
once you start doing it morning till night, it's hard to know if you even like it?
Yeah. That's where you need time to reflect and really think about it. And in that
I
training
thought
year,
I liked endodontics, when I was in dental school and I saw these, specialties and I was mesmerized by like them doing the, endodontics with a microscope. And then when I started doing root canals in my practice, and I'm like, thank God I'm not an endodontist. I would die having to
Yeah,
do
I
yeah,
had,
it's quite common in the US, right, for people to open up their own surgery or like
oh, yes.
buy a practice. Like I think the
Yes.
majority of people, would it be fair to say the majority of people who finish who complete dentistry then,
I think
get
that's most people's dream is to open their own practice. It's changing a little bit now, but it's the thing that majority of the dentists, if they're any good, they want to be, their own boss.
Gosh, it
hmm.
must be such a saturated market with so many people if everyone's opening up their own dental office.
Yes, marketing is so difficult, and more than that, now DSOs have come where there's like, mills that are like, buying 10 practices, 20 practices, 100 practices, selling to PE. And then so they're getting recaptured and they're trying to churn more money out to get recaptured the second time. So it's become a little bit of a business and it's hard for a single practice owner to sustain unless you're in the remote areas of US. So I think that the culture is changing and it just becomes so hard, like staff wise, after 2020 the expenses went up through the roof, but the compensations did not go up. So it's just it used to be a really good profession for women too, especially if you just wanted to work part-time, but now It's just so much out there. You have to be really careful what you choose.
So
Yeah.
what point did you set up your own practice?
2 years in, I set up my own practice. I actually bought a practice that's existing practice, and he's a Korean doctor. So my CPA, so I had a team that was helping me with acquisition, and my CPA, my lawyer, the whole team suggested I should not buy the practice from a Korean doctor because he just had Asian patients, and Asian men do not trust women, and they want to go back to, like, so I still said I want to buy it. I don't know what got into me, but I was like, I can make this work.
Did
And
you,
I
is it
took
just
it.
this confidence that you had that like I can make this work? Or was it more like they're saying that I shouldn't buy it, so I'm gonna buy it and sh prove them wrong?
I don't think it was like, oh, they're saying you can buy it. I just was like, I can make it work. I know it's not like, doesn't look good on the numbers, but I just believe that, I could, because I would do good dentistry, I would communicate well. Even if they left, I felt like I could market and get like patients that would like me.
I love
So
that.
it was
Go
just
you.
good for me to get a location where there was a lot of community around, and it was kind of central. So I'm like, I
Whereabouts was
think I can
this?
make it work.
In the US?
It's in US, yeah.
But
But I
where?
will tell you, I underestimated it so much. It's almost like the fresh grad comes out and he's like, "Oh, I can do the craziest extractions, no problem." I mean, yes, but is it really worth it? Like, now, you're just so picky. So now I see the wisdom of why they said not to do it, because it's not like I will die doing it, but it's just so hard, and you don't need hard. You can just find something
But you did
that's
it all
not super
yourself?
difficult.
Like you were by
I
yourself,
did.
you had a part like a
I was
business
by
partner?
myself, yes.
Right.
And then
Wow.
I felt yeah, it was super successful right away, even though I lost about 40% of the patients. Like, we predicted that.
What made you
And
what
I
do you
lost,
think? Sorry, you just cut out.
go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to ask, so what do you think was your formula for turning it around? What worked for you?
I retained some of the staff, and the location's good. There was a lot of families around that kind of related to me, because I had kids and I was a mom, so that worked. And I mean, if I look back, I could have easily not made it in that practice. But I think I had a determination. I was like, I do this or I go bankrupt, and that's not an option. So taking that location, I also bought the real estate right away. So it's a huge amount of debt. So it's like do or die. But I had so many sleepless nights, the nights that I was worried about staff, worried about like team, and I had like young kids. So yeah,
So
looking back,
how
I could
did
have had
you
it
like
easy.
with this is amazing, by the way, Sonia. With all these sleepless nights and the stresses of having massive debt and children and all these things going on, how did you keep sane? Like, how did you did you have a support system around you? What helped you just maintain your sanity and get through this, get through the tough times? How did you get through the tough times?
Great question. I think I just thought of, like, there is light at the end of the tunnel at some point. I don't know. I don't see it through it right now, but yes, I had a huge family support, which is my parents are. But I also went through divorce around that time with two young kids.
Ooh.
So it got better, but then it didn't get better with the support. And what got me through, I think some of my patients. Just seeing really young kids, to like seeing them grow up along with my kids. I feel like, team was great, and patients were amazing and they appreciated me. So just going into work and having that connection was great. And then having my, family support. I knew at the end of the day, if you really, really work hard, because that's all you can do, right? The only person I can control is me, and I could work really, really hard and then do all the right things for the patients, and then it'll work out at some point. So yeah, many, many years later, I felt like I'm out of that fire zone.
And do you still have that practice or have you now sold it?
I have now sold it, two of my practices. So I opened another practice right after that. I wanted to have like completely cosmetic and a sleep apnea practice. I had that, and I sold both of them last year. I
Oh,
wanted to
wow.
travel and do some of the other things. I'm now involved in dental technology. Um, so I'm part of like a startup, somebody starting like uh, in dentistry. And then I teach and I mentor and help other people like me that needed light, like the lighthouse that shines the light into every aspect of the darkness. So I wish I had that at that time. I had a few people, luckily. So that's what I'm doing now.
That's
So tell us
brilliant.
about the startup. That sounds really interesting.
The startup is sleep apnea. So my passion is sleep apnea, and the startup is about where we want to deploy because more and more dentists are not doing sleep apnea because I think they're worried about the billing, they're worried about training their doctors, and especially the DSOs don't see the revenue coming back. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to like take all that work away and just have them diagnose in the office and then send the patients to us so we could actually refer them to either MDs for CPAP or get a dentist in the area to provide them for the CPAP for the oral appliance. So we're trying to do that, and I'm super excited about that project right
How did
now.
you get into sleep apnea, or like how did that become a passion of yours?
It started again. It's another story about my dad, who's a physician. I told you earlier, went through a sudden collapse at his workplace and had to be admitted in the hospital. I was sitting in the waiting room, looking at him, so helpless. And at that time, I knew he snored a lot, but until the doctor told me it's sleep apnea related heart issue, it didn't, affect, it didn't hit me at all that it could be such a big deal. And dentists are in the forefront of it. Um, I think that night I decided I was gonna really help families see that it's just not snoring, and it's, and sleep apnea can affect kids too. Kids are snoring. Like a lot of my friends would say, my kid is a mouth breather and no one wants to do anything about it, or they're ADHD and that's because of sleep apnea. But they're wrongly diagnosed and put on meds. So there's just so much work that needs to be done, but no one is doing in US. ENTs are not really, pediatricians are not really diagnosing tongue ties. That also causes sleep apnea. So there's so much need. Even now, like 80% of the patients go without diagnosis. They go to the dentist, they go to physicians, they have no idea. People falling asleep on the road in front of their car, in front of their while they're driving. So there's just so much that's not being addressed.
Wow, that's really interesting. It's there's a module that we have to do in our undergrad where you can select any topic that you like essentially do a literature review on, or you look up literature and you write like an essay on. And I remember picking
Uh-huh.
sleep apnea. And I remember picking sleep apnea thinking, oh, I don't know anything about this. Let me just pick this and do this. Like I wasn't particularly interested in it. And then I remember looking at the research, and there's some research out there, not much, but there is some. And it was quite interesting. And I never did anything after, but maybe this is a sign to actually look back into it. Because you're right, I think it does affect more people than we think.
And I think we're just as dentists, we're literally in their airway to be able to assess it. But
Absolutely.
it's not integrated as part of generally speaking, it's not integrated part of your routine exam, right? When you're seeing a patient. But yeah, I think it's getting more awareness in the UK for sure. I feel like it is certainly becoming more spoken about. I see more courses on it, see more people advocating for it on socials and stuff like that. But I still think there's a long way to go in terms of getting real change. And I guess the thing is, the management of it is just and the diagnosis and all of that. It's just so costly that I feel like it's just not actually that accessible for a lot of people. as well. Well, within the current, even privately, but in the UK. But I hope that more funding goes into it, more research goes into it to be able to make it much more kind of smoother, I guess.
So what kind of questions would you ask a patient if you suspect sleep apnea?
Um, Majority of them, it's, integrate into the diagnosis. Like Tejal said, it's not part of the diagnosis at all. No one is asking, hey, how are you sleeping? And are you tired? Do you have brain fog next day? Do you have to fall asleep? Like, if you're in the car, like, are you falling asleep? Or, are you feeling tired all day? So people are like, they come to middle age and they think it's just normal to be tired all the time, without really having to, think about it. So we ask a ton of questions, but I think we start with five of them first, which is like, are you sleeping well? And, what are are you falling asleep? And do you feel like taking a nap in the afternoon? That kind of stuff. And then once they say yes to some of them, and then we take them into a slew of like majority of the question. We even ask them like, how are you, were you breastfed or were you bottle fed? Because it all matters when it comes to checking, like, do they have tongue tie or airway deficiencies? And, if you have orthodontics with teeth extracted. So all of that, it's like a whole slew of thing, but you don't want to like tire every single patient with all those questions. So we just do a screening. And then when they're interested in finding more, we'll do that. And then we send them home with a sleep watch pad machine, which actually does an at-home sleep study. And
Wow.
once we have the diagnosis, we ask them, a bunch of questions. We give them options of like, do you want to go to physician? Do you want to go to dentist? And sometimes people pick hybrid, but as Tejal said, there's, insurance reimbursement in US, but not really possible in some of the insurances, and some of them are really expensive options. Some of them are temporary options, right? The mat appliance, which is, move the mandibular forward, that is a temporary option sometimes, and then they throw it out and they get frustrated. So I think that's the reason the sleep apnea is not getting a lot diagnosis or even getting appliance therapy,
But the
because
appliances
there's
are
so many
so
modalities.
the appliances they look really uncomfortable. Like, what is the compliance rate of or is with these appliances?
With adults, it's not bad. When in my practice, I would say about 80% to 85%. But what happens is a lot of them who don't know how to treat sleep apnea, just give them an occlusal guard, which is so thick and it's just like a piece of plastic, and they can't breathe with it. It blocks your, existing airway versus opening it. So if you don't know how to treat it, and a lot of dentists are just putting, mouth guards in the mouth, which is like 3 inches thick, and they can't breathe anymore. So it gets a bad rep that, oh, it doesn't help. But if you go to the doctor that's actually trained and understands, and can diagnose, just one piece of plastic is not going to change anything, but it has to be the right type of diagnosis and the treatment with it.
Mhm.
If you're enjoying today's episode and you are a female dental professional, we'd love to invite you to our monthly face-to-face coffee morning.
It's a safe, supportive, intimate space to connect, share, and grow together.
You can express your interest by filling in your details through the link on Dr. Tejal's link tree. You'll find it in the show notes.
Now, back to the episode. So, with your background in owning practices, and obviously you had a little bit of an entrepreneur gene in you, what advice would you give to people who may be dentists, may not be dentists, but would like to do something business related or have a little side hustle on the side or go, you know, pick a venture or go down that route? What advice would you give to learn business?
Are you talking about people that want to open their practices,
I think
or dentists that
generally.
just graduated?
Generally, like, but like just business, like have skills to pick up those skills, like understanding finances or understanding marketing or strategy or those kind of things.
I think, the fortunate and unfortunate thing about our profession is we really have to be good with a lot of stuff, especially if you have your practice like marketing and financial and leadership. So I would say three things, really understand that, like, which is how to deal with people, how to manage your time, and don't chase money, but chase purpose.
Mm.
Love that. Absolutely love that. And I was just thinking about that yesterday because my sister and I have had a little bit of a journey in the last maybe 18 months or so where we've really kind of honed in into like what is it? Like why are we doing what we're doing and questioning it? Like
Yeah.
being really super intentional about our energy. And hence this, this podcast was the baby of all of that process because we recognize that really we're so fortunate to be in an amazing profession. It's full of opportunity, and you're going to be able to get an income from it, right? That's going to sustain you. Like, we're so lucky like that. But then, what is it that's going to really kind of light you up and, really kind of nourish you and fulfill you as well? And not necessarily the things that we've been starting to do. Not all of it is like generating money, but we're kind of really excited about where it could go. And we feel very privileged that we are in a position to do that sort of thing. And
We
like
do.
my
It's
sister,
just like having conversations. Like that's one of the biggest reasons we love podcasts and meeting people like you, Sonia, because without this space with dedicated time, like one-on-one with people like you, we we don't get to know about you or learn about you. It's very different meeting you like a dental networking event where we might speak for like 10 minutes versus like an actual conversation over Zoom. We love these conversations. And like Tejal said, there's no money here, but we really enjoy it. It's purpose, right? So that's a really beautiful line. Don't chase money, chase purpose.
I love that because, follow your purpose and meaning and money will follow. Like I truly believe that. And people networking, you heard that your net worth is your network. So I think there's so much beyond money, right? Like you meet all these people, you know so much about them. Now we feel connected. I feel like I can call you when I'm coming to UK and like, hey, let's
Yes,
do
absolutely.
and the
definitely.
opportunities we can create for other people, even in leadership, right? It's not always about taking. Like I am in groups now where people give so much more than what they take. Because,
Yeah.
like you said, we're privileged to be here. We're privileged to be dentists. We're privileged to take care of our family. We've had a good life. Like ultimately, at the end of it, we work really hard for it. We go through hardships, but we're privileged to have a great life and we should always give back. And I love what you guys are doing is meeting people. I'm in US, like I'm not even directly related to UK, but here you are spending time and learning about what I do and being passionate. This is all it's all about, like networking
Yeah,
and people. And
amazing. And
people need time.
Yes, they
yeah,
do.
and I really really value these long form conversations actually because it you know what it's that exchange of energy, that exchange of kind of insight and knowledge and experiences, and I think really it can. And I don't know who's going to be, who's going to listen to this, we don't know, but it could just spark something and just really inspire or fuel their kind of their journey. And I think I love that, the thought of that, the ripple effect, so to speak. So, Sonia, so what else are you doing? You mentioned you're involved in this startup that you talked about. You've got more kind of flexibility to do other things. You speak a lot as well, so tell us a bit about that.
Yes. Let me just talk on the energy part that you just said, because I've been like, just analyzing how I feel. And when we follow our purpose, I feel like you can see your energy. Like, are you excited after meeting somebody or are you like draining your energy, right? Like I'm seeing that a lot where when I do something that excites me, I do these podcasts and making time, just like you, like people ask me, oh, are you getting paid for the podcast? No, I'm not. But I love meeting people around the world, and this excites me. Like I'm going to be done here and I'm going to be so excited like throughout the day, just sharing this time and energy with you versus sitting with somebody that just drains your energy or talks about people. So thank you for this time.
Oh, thank you for coming. It's
Pleasure.
a pleasure. Pleasure. Yeah, tell us about your speaking because you were saying you like fly around a lot. So what do you do when you go to all these different places?
So I am invited, I'm a KOL, which is like some of the reps ask me to talk about their products. And if it's a product that I've used and I enjoyed and I like it, I talk about it. And I just love meeting people. Like whenever I do these speeches, people come up to me and share their stories. So it's a platform for me to, yeah, again, share my energy and share my stories to inspire other people. And I hope, like just like you, somebody will come to me and be like, hey, that story resonated with me. And now I know what to do with my life, or what can I do? And so I feel like I meet a lot of people. And like I said, it's all about giving back. So these speeches, sometimes I get paid, sometimes I don't get paid, but it's not about that. It's about meeting amazing people and making your life rich with people. So yeah,
It is.
I talk about a lot, about my Wall Street nights to how I've changed into the lighthouse leadership and helping people be in the flow. Ultimately, I
Yes.
think that's what it is all about, is us feeling like we're in the flow and we're chasing our purpose.
Yeah. And it takes time. Some people might not know their purpose and it's okay. Some people might instantly
Absolutely.
know. But I think trying different things is where you start, right? And
So
see what you
I learned something, maybe in the long, like I got really obsessed with purpose a few years back and really
Hmm.
questioning everything I was doing. I even ended up taking a sabbatical, like out of the like, dentistry for about 3 months. And I was chasing my purpose, not knowing what it really was or being clear about it. And I kid you not, I listened to and read so many books. I read so many books, I listened to so many podcasts. I did loads of like workbooks to really kind of unlock, what's in my head to be like trying to unlock my head, my heart, all of it to try and figure it out. And I wasn't really getting that far. And I'm just thinking that how hard is it to know your purpose? And then it was only later on when I realized when I started doing different things, it was the actual doing things. Because then you kind of get this internal feedback to be like you said, is this in line? Like it just feels right. Is it in line with me, who I am? And you kind of get that feedback to make you want to do more of it, or you get the other feedback to be like, not quite me. I don't think
Yeah,
this is like quite aligned, and then you sort of gradually kind of just move away from it. And I feel like this phrase that rings really true is passion is a result of action. So rather than trying to really like meditate your way into figuring out your purpose or just working, just get out there and do different things. Just do. And when you start doing, it naturally like will unfold and you will start recognizing what and it'll lead you closer to your purpose because you'll know something is either aligned and that will take you a step forward, or you'll find, okay, this is not, and then you'll change direction. But it will take
I
you that
love
much
that line.
closer. Yeah, it is one of my
I
favorite
love
lines.
that line. Passion follows action. So you're saying going and meditating in Bali for 2 years is not going to give you a purpose.
I don't think you'll get your answers. I'm not saying
Yes,
meditation is bad. I'm not saying that's bad at all. I'm not saying, introspection is bad or anything. Like
doing, isn't it? It's doing and trying things really that's going to make you, like we all say, find the things that really light you up.
yeah.
And I think that's something everyone can be excited about. So even if you haven't found your purpose yet, do, and see
Do,
what
do,
you.
do until what gives you energy, right? Like,
Yes, yes. What
yeah,
makes
what
you
gives you energy to
photosynthesize.
do more. Like I can talk to you for 2 more hours. That's giving me energy. There's something there.
Do
So it's the
you miss
same thing,
do you miss owning practices, or do you feel like you're free?
Do I miss I miss parts of it a lot, which is, connection with my patients, which felt like family. I miss I remember like sitting in my chair and be like, wow, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, to now. The freedom, of course, I love the freedom, which is I also do a lot of media stuff, which is NBC, ABC, and so they would call me in the middle of my surgery day and want me to be on TV. There's just on Zoom calls, and I'm like, I am in my scrubs and my hair is up and like I can't really get on, and then I have a patient that I'm running late on. So now I love the flexibility of doing all of those things. Like I get to like they tell me 15 minutes before and I'm like, okay, I get to do it, you know.
Two,
So
two,
flexibility is there, but I think it's just there's no right answer, right?
two questions, Sonia. So you mentioned you're a KOL, so key opinion leader for certain products that you've used and you like. How do you become a KOL, or how did you become a KOL?
I got I'm just doing another presentation again about that next week in South Beach. Um, I think it if you again like we talked about the dream and purpose, if you really into it, start talking for like you use these products in your own office. And if you really like some of those products, talk to the rep that's there to like, hey, I love this product and how many people are using it? What do you need? They need use cases, they need people that have used it. So, and if you're good on the stage and you don't get scared and all that stuff, so like you should totally get in that field of like, hey, but expressing your interest and understanding you
Hmm.
have to be out there. No one is going to come looking for you.
Hmm. Yeah. So approach if there's a particular products that you really like that you use, and you want to be more involved, approach the reps, approach companies to see how you could help them or support them and
Yeah,
what
and talk
opportunities
about
there are.
like the cases you've done, right? Like
Right.
say you have a bunch of cases and you have a feedback, talk about that. And then you can go into local groups. Let's say they're hygienists, group organization. And if something that's hygienists can use, go talk there. Like start small and
Mm.
get confident and feel good about it. And then if this is what's giving you energy, like you can get involved in a bigger uh, scale. That's what happened to me. I was just speaking very casually to my team, to my hygienists, and they kept telling me you should really speak and I should do other stuff. And then I got into, luckily, I got in during 2020, got an opportunity to talk on speak about, snoring and sleep apnea because that was what I was passionate about. And one thing leads to another. If you're doing good work, you will get recognized and you'll get invited. And,
Doors
I'm
will
doing
open.
podcasts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is that how you got onto television? Or how did that happen?
Yeah, television was the same. I felt I was at a dental event and a PR person came up to me and he said, I heard you speak to a bunch of hygienists and we need somebody for TV coming up and can I put your name out there? I was like, yes, for sure. So it's not money making or anything initially. And then, so one after the other, like, and then he introduced me to a couple of other people in PR. And so they asked me to speak on, Halloween candy and how, safe methods for parents, whatever comes on TVs, right? So those are like, so that's how I got on. And then I started teaching anyway. So I have my own recordings going on, tons of podcasts so far, and a lot of radio work as well.
So do you find like, okay, if these opportunities come, you'd happily do them. But at what stage would you, if you've done, if you've done a few, you'd be like, actually, no, I can start, asking to be paid for this. How do you negotiate, or how can you start
Oh,
getting
you can
paid for like these gigs?
if you're actually start, especially for product companies, they're glad to pay you if they have enough people coming in, right? They're not going to pay you for small gatherings, but if you're willing to go out there and speak for them, they start giving you incentives and you know what they're willing to offer. So you can approach people and tell them, hey, I'm already doing for X company. I would love to do it for your company. And this is what I charge. And most people are like super happy to pay you for it, or you can have your own group of following, like let's say I invited you guys and then I have 4 reps there and I want to talk to you guys about implementing these 4 products in your office. They'll pay you for that as well. They'll get you
So it's having that
refreshments and
conversation, isn't it? It's just saying it.
just saying it. Like, just ask if that's what you want to do, ask for it and start doing like a small study club where But I am very careful. I think just be very careful to be like, oh, don't be like money centered again. This is a product you truly believe in because ultimately it's your reputation that's out there. You don't want to be associated with a company that's not valid or good or you didn't get good results and you're talking on it. It's your reputation again.
Mm.
Very true. Very true. So what else is new and exciting for you right now?
I am writing a book on sleep apnea.
Mm.
So that's exciting. I'm just compiling the whole experience of how I got there and it has a little bit of scientific reasons behind what happens and then maybe a little takeaway. So that's coming up. I was approached by a publishing company in UK. I don't know what's going on with the UK, but in UK they have like messaged my team, asked me to write on something, and I said I'll start on. I have other ideas, but let's start with sleep apnea because I'm so close to it. I'm speaking on it literally almost every month. So that's coming up and that I'm excited about.
Fab. That's really cool. And what's driving you right now? You mentioned like connection, people, giving back.
Speaking.
What's your sort of, yeah, what's your vision for this next season?
I want to, for the first time, like I always had goals of like, this is what I wanted to do. And this is, kind of like transaction style goals. And now I just want to connect with good people, have good energy around me. Like I said, I feel super privileged to be in this spot and have that freedom. So I am running with the flow with goals of like working with people I want to work with and I can choose who I want to work with and what I want to do. And just the next phase is going to be help as many people as I can in, patients wise with sleep apnea, because I still have a lot of my friends asking me, what is the solution now we know? So I just want to, integrate some of this sleep apnea to make it solutions easy and really be present for other dentists and leaders that are struggling out there.
So do you
That's
have do you coach people? Like how are you involved with that?
Yeah, so when I go for my speaking, I'll have people come in and ask me to help them with something, and I can help them like an hour. But if they want to be in my team, I have a group of dentists that we meet every Tuesday, and we just talk about a lot of stuff, right? If someone is managing a practice and they have issue with the staff, like I have gone through two life cycles so far, which is building a practice from scratch, buying a practice, selling a practice, and also doing financial stuff on the side. So now I also do like option trading, so I could give them advice on that. So we talk about a lot of stuff. I'll pick a topic normally, and then if someone has any questions, we go over that. But if they need like more one-on-one, so I'll get on the phone with them. It's just private and super, super easy. I love my team,
So when you say
my
my my
doctors.
my team, is it the people who are these people? Like who are this team?
The team has, just admin, a couple of admin people and some people that help me put my speeches together and also coordinate my events. So those are my team right now, which I missed a lot in between when I didn't have my practice. It's a small team, and then I have a good group of doctors that are like, growing, by learning from each other.
I do really
like a
believe,
community, like your little community.
Yes.
yeah, I
And I
feel it's
like it because it's so personal. Like, how we're talking
Uh,
one-on-one, and you said when
yes,
you meet at a
yes,
dental convention, you get only
yes,
10 minutes. So this is
yes.
like small group of people that meet on a regular basis and we know each other deeply. So that I love the small get-togethers.
We totally resonate with that, honestly. We do these small get-togethers monthly, actually, like a little coffee morning, and we love it. And
Oh.
the feedback has literally been keep it small because we realize that actually, if you have a really big group, even people who appear confident sometimes feel like they can't have their say, or they don't feel as heard. So having that small group is so important, just to make sure everyone gets to say something, everyone feels heard, and everyone feels comfortable to speak. So
Nihal, how do you keep it small? Like when you have so much coming, I want to ask you this because I'm like getting a lot of attention and, wanting to join, but I also want to keep it small. Do you split them in
yeah.
different groups?
So we're actually at a very similar stage to you. So I think we'll need a separate call with you, Sonia, to figure all this out. So far we've increased it a little bit, like a tiny bit numbers wise, to just trial it. And then we've kept it at that size right now. Like we haven't doubled the spaces. We haven't done anything drastic like that because I think, Sonia, there is a magic to keeping a really intimate gathering and keep the numbers restricted. And really, it is obviously on a first come first basis. And people sign on online. And obviously there'll be some months where everyone's on holiday, they can't make it. So, there'll be, ebbs and flows of when people can make it and not, or not. But we haven't actually expanded it at all yet. So we're thinking
I
about
think
that.
I think did you say you're doing it every week?
Yes.
So that's great because we're doing ours like on a monthly basis. But if you're doing it every week, you can just decide what you think is going to be a good number to
Yeah.
allow, a high quality conversation or it's going to be valuable for everybody because there is a sweet spot, right? Like too small or like, too big, and then you kind of lose that magic. So have your number, and then if it's on a weekly thing, just get people to kind of sign up and keep it first come, first serve, keep it fair. If people drop out, then you can still fill up those spaces. So if you can't
Mhm.
come one week because it's full, then you can come the week after. It's not the end of the world.
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
Um,
But
Probably.
definitely, like, yeah, keep going with what you're doing.
That's
Because
really cool. Like
honestly,
it's really cool that you're just holding
yeah,
space,
yeah.
for people to come together. And I really feel like it's so important to be around people who are open to sharing like openly and, really being genuinely supportive because there's enough opportunity and work for everybody. I really
Yeah.
don't think, there's anybody that you're gonna, because we're so I feel like we're very competitive creatures in this kind of being in just by getting into this profession, you've had to be competitive. But then I feel
Absolutely.
like when you're on the other side of it, when you recognize there's way more to gain from collaborating and then to try and still want to compete and you find that energy sometimes it doesn't leave a lot of people they're still in that competitive sort of thing. It's good to be competitive, but I really feel like as you mature it's more the competition's it's within
Just within
yourself,
you,
like,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but keep
How
going
did
with
you
it.
both become dentists? I want to know.
Oh, great question.
Rachel, you go.
I always thought I was going to do medicine because it was obvious choice. If you like science and maths, you're brown, like, be a doctor. So but then that's what I just didn't even question it. I just assumed that's probably what I would do. I don't think I was drawn to it, but I just thought that would be a reasonable path to follow. But it was a conversation I had completely by fluke at a careers convention when I was about 14, 15, like at school. And it was a dentist. I was in a long queue waiting to speak to the doctors, but there was a dentist and she was sat by herself. And I thought, well, I'm in this long queue. I'm not doing anything. I might as well just go and say hello. And she turned out to be a dentist. And yeah, we sat down, we had a cat chat, and she was just really lovely, really lovely. She loved her job. She was so positive about her career choice. And I thought, oh, I never thought about teeth. Don't really fancy putting my fingers down someone's mouth. But here we are. I did a bit of work experience, and I think that's what it kind of sealed the deal. It was just seeing really being able to see what it was like, and just being able to visualize that. Oh, okay, I think I could do this. I think it was just that connection and having conversations. I think that was something that was just a big part of me, and I connected to it. So then that's it. I decided I was going to do dentistry, and I just went for it. And then now I'm not too sure. I
So with
think.
me, it was more, I was always kind of meant something sciencey, like always knew it would be something sciencey. And I remember doing work experience in medicine, in a hospital. And basically the registrar I was shadowing, I remember this so well. She was reading a book, which was How to Make More Time for Yourself. As soon as I saw that, I was like, no, no. I can't be doing this. I can't be doing this if I need to be reading a book on how to make more time for myself. And then I was like, right, let me go shadow, let me check out dentistry. And dentistry just, yeah, resonated. And I think we're naturally chatty people. Like, I genuinely, my favorite thing about every day and going to work is my conversations with patients. Like, I'll remember where they've been on
What did
holiday
you
or
think?
like who's getting
What
married.
did you think before going to dental school was going to be different, and after you graduated was different? Like you're like, oh my God, I am totally shocked because we always like look at somebody and be like, oh my God, this is how I'm going to envision my life to be. And what was that moment that you're like, holy, like it's not exactly that
So I think
glamorous?
one thing I didn't expect is genuinely how emotionally draining dentistry is. Like after a full day of patient Sonia, I want to come home and I want to just like I'm tired, like mentally and emotionally, I'm drained.
Is
So
it
that's
because
one
we
thing
give
I
a
realized.
lot? Because,
Yes,
we
I
just
think
have to
so.
be, not physically, just emotionally, we have to be there with
Yeah.
them right there when they're going through whatever they're going through.
Yes, and also I feel like we're always switched on, whether it be in our
Yes.
conversations with patients and then in your treatment, you can't just switch off. You're like constantly on for the whole day. And I don't do 5 days clinical. I do 3 days clinical. And I think if I told 18-year-old Nehal, yeah, you're going to be working 3 days in like your actual clinical job, but then you'll do other things on the side, I probably would have found that really weird because I always saw myself as, like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, full-time working, da 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 da.
Yeah,
But that was something I realized, like, actually, I didn't realize how flexible it could be, but also how emotionally draining it was, like massively.
absolutely. And physically draining too, like emotionally and physically draining, because you're running between ops and you're doing hygiene checks, and it's just a lot. It's physically draining, especially if you do some extractions. I was getting all the extractions from all the offices when I worked at the place. So I was great at it, but it was just draining physically. I'm like, I felt like I've done like 4 hours of workout by the time I go.
I know, it's crazy. Oh, Sonia, we could chat to you for hours. And it has been so lovely to have you on. Just hearing about your journey in the US, which is so interesting and different, and your path and how open and honest you've been about everything. So thank you so much for coming on today and being your wonderful self and sharing your experiences with our listeners. And I'm sure if someone has not read about sleep apnea, now they'll be inspired to go away and research sleep apnea at the very least.
And
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
and as we wrap up today, I just wanted to ask you if there was one nugget you'd like to leave our listeners um to inspire them, to motivate them, something from that you've learned from your journey, what would that be?
I always thought of, like Nehal said earlier, I always thought I would do this with my life, and then when things change, we kind of like judge ourselves and say, oh my God, why did my life change? Like now I'm working 3 days. Am I like a bad dentist? Like, because I imagine myself to be a full-time doctor or whatnot. I think just be less judgmental on yourself, because understand if you're starting your career at 20, there's going to be a lot of changes happening between that and since, till probably 60. And it's okay to embrace that and just go with the flow and know that, whatever is giving you energy, you're doing. No one is judging you out there other than yourself. So stop judging, pivot how many ever times you need to, learn from your mistakes, and no guilt.
Amazing. I absolutely
Love
love
it.
every single thing you just said there. That's brilliant. Thank you for coming on, Sonia.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoy this episode, don't forget to hit follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and to hit subscribe on YouTube so that you never miss a new one. It really helps if you rate and review the show, and if you found this episode valuable, share it with a friend, family member, or colleague. We appreciate your support and we'll catch you next time. Bye bye.